The Villain's Demand reviews Future Imperfect, a Secret Wars tie-in, written by Peter David and art by Greg Land. Hey guys, it's The Villain's Demand. I'm Justin Von Doom, the Hero Man, 7 great. Today we'll be covering Secret Wars tie-in, Future Imperfect.
Alright guys, on Future Imperfect, it starts out with a character named Ruby. She's kind of out in the desert, and she sees like a cloaked figure on the ground, walks up to see who it is, and then she discovers it's Odin. And her not knowing anything about the real Asgard except myth, she knows that he is a powerful person and somebody they can use to go against the Maestro, which is ruling their lands. So she takes him back to their hidden base, and then when they get in contact with somebody who can read his mind, comes to find out it's not Odin, it is Maestro himself, and he has found the hidden camp basically trying to overthrow him. So he turns into Maestro and they start fighting. They're able to hold him off long enough for their leader of the, I guess, the rebellion to come out, so I'm going to call it, and it's the Thing. And they go to fight, and eventually find out that this is not the original Thing, this is not Ben Grimm, this is actually General Thunderbolt Ross, and he is the Thing. And in this time frame, he was the one that got hit by the cosmic rays, and he turns into this. Unlike the beloved Thing we know, this one's a lot more almost villainous. But he's not a villain, but he don't care if he kills people while he's trying to stop somebody.
He's a soldier.
Yes. Yeah. And they fight, you know, and Maestro, they have this big war or whatever. And then after that, Maestro decides that he's going to become more powerful because they talk, him and the Thing talk, and he's going to go and he's going to try to take on Doom. And he wants to get the Asgardian armor and Destroyer armor, and it's hidden away and it's protected by Ulick the Troll, and then there's a second level protected by, what do they call it, the Guardian?
Yeah, it's Rick Jones.
Yeah, it's Rick Jones, but they call it the Guardian. And so he goes to the base and he fights Ulick, which they mention that Ulick is as strong as Thor now, and he beats the hell out of him, which shows you the power level of Maestro. And then he gets to Rick Jones. And Rick Jones he's in a wheelchair, and he just moves out of the way and lets him go up to it. Well, not knowing this, Maestro goes up to the armor and he puts it on and he fights Doom and he's winning. But in reality, it has a wish kind of device to it, and whatever you want is whatever you do. So in his mind, he's standing there basically looking at it, and he's thinking this until I guess he just does that to the end of his days and he's going to die. So, in reality, he got what he wants, but he really didn't get what he wants, because out in the real world, he's sitting there, basically Rick Jones has tricked him. And I really liked it. There's a lot more smaller details. We're going to break it down, and I'll let anyone else take off.
I enjoyed the book from the very beginning. Ruby's out in the desert.
Yeah.
She's talking about how there was once heroes of this land. I don't know if they're myth or if they were real, but they're gone now, and she's going about all that, and then she finds Odin. She brings Odin to the rebellion's camp way underground. Then you find out he's Maestro. There's an awesome fight. Ruby tries to stand up against him. You know, she hits him with his optic blast and it knocks him back. And he starts fighting her, and he's like slamming her on the ground. He's like, I broke Diamond before. Ruby shouldn't give me no trouble. And then, you know, he's slamming her on the ground, and he's like, wow, you are adorable. He's like, then he grabs her by the throat. He's like, he's getting madder, of course, and he just starts cracking her. You see the cracks coming through her jaw and stuff. I thought that was really cool. The Thing steps out. He's General Ross, and when he first stepped out, I'm like, oh come on, he ain't got a chance against Maestro, none at all. He does not. He literally, he stays in the fight is what happens. He's just getting beat down, and he's just buying time basically, and he's just getting beat down the whole time. Showing you how powerful Maestro really is. And then when Maestro captures him, he's got him in his castle of green, and he's got him locked down, and he tells him, I want you to help me because I want to defeat Doom. And he's like, if I defeat Doom, I'll rule the world and you can have that region. He was like, I don't care, do what you want with it. And of course Ross, he's like, yes, you know, that'll work, because Ross, he's like, there ain't no way he can beat Doom. He's gonna try and die, and I'll be the new Baron. You know, win-win. Maestro truly believes he can defeat Doom with the Destroyer armor, so they agree to help each other out. They get the rebellion, the rebels to help them. Ruby and her little gang, they all go to help. They go to Northelheim, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Norheim.
Norheim. There's a little bar scene that I thought was pretty cool. They go in there and they're trying to find out, get some information. And Maestro, he's getting pissed off, so he grabs the table and throws it. He's like, that's a couple 100 pounds. You know, just kind of show his strength. And he grabs the dude up and he's like, if you don't tell me where Ulick is, I'll smash you to dust. I thought the little bar scene was cool. And then they find out where Ulick is and they're leaving. And the thing, he's just like, I guess we don't get a drink, do we? I thought that was a nice little hint of comedy in a book that wasn't supposed to be have any comedy. And it was nice to have a little moment like that. But then when they get into the Ulick's caves where all his trolls dwell, the thing and Ulick are fighting, and it seems like a fairly even fight. And then Maestro takes his coat off, and he's like, let's see what you got. And Ulick hits him, and it don't even budge him. It's like, boom, and he's still standing there. And you can tell on Ulick's face right then that he's outmatched. They start fighting. They go through the wall down pretty deep. They're throwing down. Then to me, the best part of the book happens. He gets Ulick to agree, because Ulick can't beat him. Why die? He's like, yeah, I'll show you where it's at. And they actually call him the Ancient One, which is Rick Jones. Then they show up there. Rick Jones, he's like, yeah, I don't care. You can have it. And he's like, there's a trick. And Maestro don't believe him. But he's not tricking him, because he actually tells him it's a wish well. It's where every wishing well in Doom's world, all the wishes go pull here. It's like a wish pull. And he tells him that. And he's like, you just gotta go out here and touch it. So Maestro jumps out there. And as soon as he gets in front of the destroyer, his wish starts... He starts visually seeing his wish, and it's not even happening. It's like an illusion. He thinks he puts the armor on. He thinks him and Doom, and he's actually destroying Doom. And during this, you don't know this, and I was really upset. I'm like, come on, Doom would do better than this. This is Lord Doom, and it's upsetting watching Doom just get manhandled, and Maestro's just playing with him, and then he defeats Doom, and he's ruling the world. And then it shows Rick Jones and all them sitting back there looking at him, and he's just standing in front of the destroyer. Yeah! And then Rick Jones explains, or the Ancient One explains what's going on. And he's like, I guess it'll just be me and him here till the end of time. They're just going to sit there and dwell, and I guess till they each die, wither away. So I thought that was actually a really cool ending onto something that was, I felt like, a really good book.
I also felt it was a good book. Peter David's a magnificent writer. Just to get off topic, me and Evan Great have had the pleasure of watching a panel with Peter David and Paul Jenkins, creator of the Century, a couple years ago, and literally the panel was about the Hulk. Just to hear him talk about how much he cares for the character, his beliefs on the character, what the character stands for, was really nice. And now after that, to read any Hulk book that he has wrote just really gives a different spin. But I too love this book. Once again, with these Secret Wars tie-ins, I feel that Marvel allowed the writers to do whatever they wanted with the characters that they wanted in their book. You get Ruby Summers, who Peter David, I believe, created too, in X Factor. Yep. You also get Lila Miller, who surprised me when she showed up and saved Ruby Summers. So she's got a character she created. He created, saving a character he created. You have Janice and Scooter from the original Future Imperfect, which I was very sad to see Scooter die. And I think this is a good trend with this Secret Wars stuff, is the freedom Marvel allows the writers to have with characters in their books. Because in the end, for one, it's not going to matter. And I think this is probably one of the greatest cast of characters, because for one, it's Peter David, and when Peter David is allowed to have characters, to do what he pleases with those characters, you've always got a great book. What did upset me, the one thing about one of the characters, was Lila Miller, because when I showed up, I thought, oh my god, things are getting crazy, because it's Lila Miller. Lila Miller's been around for about 10 years now. She's really had a very big impact in the X Factor run, which Evan Great is a huge fan of. And I expected, okay, here she goes. She's going to go mutant power crazy on everybody. And she didn't. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, oh, man, that's great. Because it's a variable you would think would tip the scales that doesn't. And it allows the Maestro to be the main focus of the book. And then towards the end,
when they're doing the break-in into the Maestro's compound, she's yelling Jamie, and I thought, oh my God, here's going to come a army of multiple men. No, you get a dog of war. Her dog of war she was riding, his name is Jamie, and I thought, oh my God, this is even better, because you're stepping away from the mutant aspect, the power those two could bring in a book, and you're completely changing them, and that to me is the genius of Peter David.
I love all his work, and doing a book like this, and him and George Perez also, I found out, created the original Maestro, and Maestro, I think it's called
That's Future Imperfect.
Yeah, Future Imperfect, the first one, and to have a chance to come back many years later and do this is just phenomenal. And hear him talk about this, I think this might be one of the first times he's wrote a big Hulkish story.
No, he'd been writing the Hulk for a while before this.
No, I'm talking about since we had the meeting with him.
Oh yeah, I think this is the first.
To see
Hulk
the
story
love just pour over into these pages, it's phenomenal. To have a villain like this, well, I don't know if you want to call him a villain or not. Maestro just wants to dominate.
A villain.
Yeah, a villain.
It's all villains.
Just to have the story to center around him, to show his true power, and then have the supporting cast with, you know, Ruby and Lila.
A bunch of heroes.
It's so great to see it all just transpire. And my favorite part in the book is actually when Rick Jones just slides out of the way, and he knows he's going to go up there and try to take the power, and he takes the bait, and it's over like that. So basically, he's our true hero. I mean, he basically just allowed him to go and do what none of the heroes would have done to stop him.
I thought the book did a great job of allowing the spotlight to be on the villain, on Maestro. I felt like he held the spotlight really good. It's kind of like when you watch that, the Jessica Jones, Kilgrave, he held the spotlight of that show so well. And I thought Maestro did the same thing. He was so good that he was actually one of my favorite characters so far that I've been reading on all these Secret War tie-ins. Maestro, he was just such a good villain. Like when he's first fighting them, that when he first gets to their compound, he's going into, do y'all think I want it to be this way? You think I enjoy trying to deal with the farmers that don't want to farm, but I gotta feed my people? And he's just going on and on about how if he could, he'd give it all up for a better life, but you know, he's one of the ones that can do it, so he has to do it. And before he finishes, he just starts laughing. He's like, I almost had myself believe in it. And then you find out this dude's evil. Like, he don't really care. He's in it for the power. And I enjoy that about him. He's such a good character. And then and then you find out he's actually smarter than the heroes were giving him credit for. He was following Ruby. He knew she went to the sun, out to the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew she went out to the desert to be in her own thoughts and plan, do this and that. He was like, that's easy to follow and track. He's like, you're predictable. So he just laid the bait. So he turned back into his normal human form, which he has the beard and all that, and he put an eye patch on and pretended to be Odin. And she took it. She was so predictable and gullible. You get to see how smart and conniving Maestro really is. He ain't just this big brute that dominates. Then on the other hand, he's also plays into the same hand that he dealt Ruby. I felt he stole the book that told him where the Destroyer's armor was from Dr. Doom. And that's when things like, I'm going back. You know, you think Doom would let you steal something? He knows. He's like, no, you underestimate me. He's like, you underestimate Doom. I felt like once that happened, Doom did let him steal that book. I felt like Doom played that card. Doom let him steal that book because Doom had to know that Maestro was probably wanting to overthrow him. Maestro's personality. Maestro talks about since the moment he met Doom, he wanted Doom's position. I feel like Doom played that card. Maestro took it, went for the Destroyer armor, and then now he's stuck there for the rest of his life, thinking he's living this fantasy that's not even real. I felt like Doom laid that out for him to get rid of him and not actually have to deal with him, because Maestro's a powerhouse. Could he hurt Doom? He might get a punch in or something, but Doom's the kind of guy, why waste his time when he can just play this card, outsmart him, and it take care of itself.
I felt like that punch would be when Ulick punched Maestro.
Yeah.
Like, really?
I think Doom is not scared of Maestro's power as that. He's scared of his intellect.
I don't think he's scared of nothing.
Yeah, he's not scared of anything, but I feel like Doom's more along the lines of, because Doom's always been this way. I'm not going to lower myself so much to have to deal with it when I can just, you know, basically give him enough rope, he'll hang himself.
Exactly.
Is what Doom did. And I felt like they allowed you to understand that about Doom, but they never even had to say it. But before you find all that out, when Maestro's whooping up on Doom in the fantasy, the whole time I'm like, it's a Doom bot. It's a Doom bot. You know, why would Doom not still have Doom bots? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Why would
I didn't
he not?
think about it like that.
And I was like, it's a Doom. It's got to be. And because the Doom bots believe they're Doom.
Yeah.
And
they act just like Doom.
yeah, and so, and that's why he's trying to bargain with him. We can rule the world. Stop. I understand how powerful you are. And I'm just like, it's got to be a Doom bot. It's got to be. Then it ended up not being, and they threw a huge curveball at me, and it was just a wish wheel.
So you believe that it was Doom?
I thought it was a Doom bot.
Okay, so did you think it was the same thing?
I thought it was Doom.
See, am I the only one that didn't think it was Doom? Because I was like, okay, really? This would not be Doom.
I knew he wouldn't kill him.
Yeah,
because, like,
knowing the power Doom has, I'm like, there's no way the Destroyer armor is this powerful.
Yeah.
To bring down Doom. To me, I didn't think it was because I've never seen the Destroyer armor bring down Odin. So obviously I knew that after that. Okay, he said this is wishing well. It has to be a wish. Has to be.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. I thought, well, at first when he was whooping him, like he was hitting him with blasts, he's like, is that the best offense you've got? I thought, oh, Doom's just playing with him.
See, that I agree with.
Doom's wanting to see how powerful he is. You know, Doom was like just hitting him with some soft stuff. And then I thought he was going to land some shots on Doom. Doom would be like, that's enough, and break his neck like he did the Phoenix. But then when that didn't happen, I'm like, it's a Doom bot. It's got to be a Doom bot. I didn't think about it being a wish. I was just like, it's a Doom bot. And that's what made me really like the ending of the book, because I just knew it was a Doom bot, and it wasn't.
Okay, so like one thing I've realized listening to you is there is a point in this book that I realize I don't like, and it's not in the book. This book needed a flashback to show why the Maestro needed Doom's power, like in MODOK Assassin, where they flash back to where Doom shows up to Killville, and they're all bowing before him, and then that's kind of where you get you get an impression that, you know, Mordo hates Strange and he wants Strange, so it gives you the reason why Mordo is doing what he does in that book. I feel that this book needed that. Because, for one, if you've read the original Future Imperfect, or even, you know, where you made the comment where he's like, oh, I almost had myself believing all this, you know the Maestro craves power. I think that this book really needed that moment to where Doom shows up to Dystopia, and the Maestro's bound for him, just to see what the Maestro's thinking at that time to want that power. Because, you know, you're right, Doom did bait him. It's written right there. Doom baited him. And why would Doom want to bait him? What caused Doom to do that? I think that's the one part of this book that's missing.
And what gave Doom suspicion?
Suspicion, yes. I mean, for what I know, he's God Doom. Obviously, he has to know all. But what would make him want to do this when he knows, with a snap of his fingers, he could get rid of the Maestro?
Yeah.
I think this book was missing that part.
That's another thing. Why would the Maestro bow to him at the very beginning? What happened that made Maestro realize he was outmatched?
Yeah, exactly.
Maestro's personality, he would never been need. You know what I mean? So I agree. A flashback would have been really good.
Yeah.
But I was so wrapped up in everything else going on in the book that I didn't even
think
now.
about that. Yeah, I didn't think about it until you just listened to you talk. Also, I know the Maestro shows up in Secret Wars to where it's at now. I'm curious to what happened to get him out of this predicament, because with the Hulk, when the Hulk calms down, you know, or if he's sometime when he's knocked out, he changes to Bruce Banner. So in the end, he's sitting there thinking that he has beaten Doom, he rules Battleworld. Obviously, it's like a state of happiness. He changes back to Bruce Banner. So what happens to get him out of that? I mean, that's just something you could speculate on, or it might be in a book that none of us have read yet. So if anybody's watching this that knows that, please leave us a comment, let us know. And also, the one thing I want to talk about is, he talks about how he is going to be a good ruler. When, you know, he's almost at the state of happiness, like, hey, I've achieved this, I'm going to be, you know, what do you want, what do you want? The Maestro seems that once he's accomplished this, he would be a better leader. And I would actually like to see what he would do for Battleworld if he had conquered Doom and took Doom's power. Because, you know, he's all laughing, he's jolly about it, he's sitting there talking about it in his head. He seems like he would be a better ruler, you know, and I would be curious to what would happen if that, because anytime you see the Maestro's evil as fuck. He don't give a shit. But I'd like to see, you know, what type of ruler he would be if he had that power. I think that would be an interesting twist to the story. So Peter David, I'm going to tweet you on Twitter if you've got a Twitter. You probably don't know. And
you have that shit.
Talk to Marvel. Write that. I want to see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would be interested in it too. I think what you pointed out, I would like to see why Maestro was wanting Doom's power. I'd like to know why Doom was suspicious of him, but I never even thought about it till we started talking about it. I think that just goes to show the quality of this book. That something that you would normally ask out of a book, you don't even think about till you're actually reviewing it with your buddies. I thought that was a good. That's a good nod at the quality of the book.
Yeah, well, it's Peter David. It's what you would expect if you've read any of his stuff. I mean, you get a solid ending, and then when you think about it, you still get questions, and it is that, like what we've talked about, like some of these tie-ins just leave you with nothing. They don't draw you in, and then this is one of the books that do. And, you know, that's what makes it great. It's the whole, you get a good ending, but also what if at the end.
Another fun thought is how maybe he gets himself out of it. Because he's Maestro when he jumps into the wishing well.
And now he's Banner.
And then he turns into Banner. And Banner would want slightly different things than Maestro. You know what I mean? And now that he's Banner, maybe Banner's personality over time starts to override Maestro's. And Banner's wish is completely different. So then maybe everything changes and he can get himself out. But then once he's out, Maestro would eventually come back.
That makes sense because Banner doesn't want to be the Hulk. That's been the staple of his character forever. So why, if he doesn't want the power that the Hulk holds, why would he want the power Doom holds, or even the responsibility of ruling the planet?
He just wants to be left alone.
Exactly.
And so maybe over the years, or however long it is, maybe it's even a week, while he's Banner, he's able to outshadow Maestro's personality inside of his head and change the wish and basically get out of this illusion that Maestro put him in.
In the time on that, you know, use a week, a year, whatever. That's one thing these Secret Wars tie-ins seem to lack, is almost a time frame for some of these books. Because obviously this takes place, it's either 7 or 8, whichever issue all the villains are getting together for this, where they're like going to take on Doom or whatever. So obviously this takes place before that, but some of these books, like, you don't even know where they fit in. Some of the books, Strange shows up, and, you know, Strange, I think it's issue 3 where Strange dies.
Yeah.
In Secret Wars. So you know where those books fit in, but some of these books need a tie. Which some of them, like 2099, MODOK Assassin, it doesn't matter where they fit in because they take place within the world. But some of these books tie in to a degree, and where you think this book would tie in to the outcome because Maestro shows up, in a sense it doesn't. Or maybe it does. Maybe, like we said, you know, Doom obviously is baiting him with the book to find this place. So in a sense, it does tie in, but it doesn't. And that's one of these things that some of these books that are tie-in lack. Like Siege was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew where that book was going once Thanos showed up, and you knew by the ending what was going to happen leading into its part in the end of Secret Wars. And a lot of these books that tie in like that, or even are in the world, have no sense of time compared to what is going on. And that's something that really needs to be taken care of next time Marvel does an event like this.
I agree 100% with that. Another thing to kind of touch on before we get down here with Peter David is, I've been reading all of this stuff for a long time. That's the way almost all of his story arcs are. At the end, or during the story arc, you'll have some crazy stuff happen that you enjoy and you didn't see coming, because that's just the way he writes. And at the end, he'll leave you with a cliffhanger, making you think and wonder, which is what exactly has happened to us during this podcast.
Yeah. So that's it for Future Imperfect, Secret Wars tie-in. We're the Villains of Band. You can follow us on Facebook. Send us a tweet on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube, which hopefully that's why you're watching this video. And we will catch you next time.